Did Elvis push the boundaries too far? Were some of his movie songs actually scandalous for their time? When we think of Elvis Presley, we often picture the hip, swinging, leather-clad rebel, or the jumpsuit-wearing Vegas showman. But there's another Elvis that dominated American culture for years: movie Elvis. Between 1956 and 1969, the King starred in 31 films, singing hundreds of songs specifically written for these often formulaic but wildly popular productions. While many remember innocuous tunes like Blue Hawaii or Viva Las Vegas, not all of Elvis's movie songs played it safe. Some pushed boundaries, raised eyebrows, or created controversy that's largely forgotten today. From sexually suggestive lyrics to cultural appropriation concerns, these 7 songs represent moments when Elvis's movie music caused a stir, challenged the status quo, or made audiences uncomfortable. Though tame by today's standards, these musical moments reveal how Elvis intentionally or not tested the limits of what was acceptable in popular entertainment during America's conservative mid-century era. Number 1. Hard Knocks, from It Happened at the World's Fair. 1963. Did a song about physical punishment reflect changing attitudes about discipline? Could lyrics about hard knocks be interpreted as promoting violence? Elvis Presley's role in It Happened at the World's Fair wasn't particularly edgy. He played a crop-dusting pilot named Mike Edwards, who finds himself at the 1962 Seattle World's Fair. The film was standard Elvis fare with romance, songs, and light comedy. But tucked among the soundtrack was Hard Knocks, a song that raised eyebrows for its seemingly casual attitude toward physical punishment. The upbeat tune includes lyrics about receiving hard knocks as life lessons, with Elvis cheerfully singing, "Hard knocks. I've taken some hard knocks since I left my mama's knee. Hard knocks. Those hard knocks taught me the things they don't teach you in school." In 1963, attitudes about physical discipline were beginning to shift. While corporal punishment remained common both at home and in schools, the song's celebratory tone toward knocks struck some critics as inappropriate, especially in a film marketed toward younger viewers. The cultural context matters here. The early 1960s marked the beginning of significant social changes that would eventually lead to widespread reconsideration of physical discipline practices. Film critic Bosley Crowther of the New York Times, while not specifically mentioning the song, noted the film had a curious undercurrent of callousness that seemed misaligned with its otherwise family-friendly approach. The controversy was minor compared to others in Elvis's career, but Hard Knocks represents an interesting moment when his movie material inadvertently highlighted changing social norms around discipline in child-rearing. The song itself became neither a hit nor a staple of Elvis's concert repertoire, remaining mostly forgotten except by dedicated fans and cultural historians studying shifting attitudes toward discipline in American entertainment. The song's producer, Sam Katzman, later admitted in a 1975 interview with film historian Carlton C. LaHoo that some content in Elvis's films deliberately pushed boundaries, saying, "We weren't trying to make art, we were trying to make money." Sometimes that meant giving audiences something to talk about. Number 2. Yoga is as yoga does, from Easy Come, Easy Go. 1967. Was Elvis mocking Eastern spiritual practices? Did Hollywood exploit other cultures for cheap laughs? By 1967, Elvis's movie career was showing signs of creative fatigue, and Easy Come, Easy Go stands as one of his least memorable films. Playing a Navy frogman turned treasure hunter, Elvis moved through a predictable plot with increasingly forgettable songs. One tune, however, sparked controversy that extended beyond film critics. Yoga is as Yoga Does, a duet performed with actress Elsa Lanchester. The song presents yoga, a 1,000-year-old spiritual practice from India, as a comedic novelty, with lyrics like, "Yoga is as yoga does. It ties your body in a knot. The mind expands, although it's true. The body sometimes hurts a lot." Throughout the number, Elvis and Lanchester perform exaggerated poses meant to parody yoga positions while exchanging jokes about the practice. What made this particularly problematic was the timing. The late 1960s marked a period when Eastern spiritual practices were gaining serious interest in American counterculture. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi had introduced transcendental meditation to Western audiences, and figures like George Harrison of the Beatles were studying Indian spirituality with genuine reverence. The song faced criticism from early American yoga practitioners who found its portrayal reductive and disrespectful. The Ingral Yoga Institute, established in New York in 1966 by Sri Swami Satchidananda, reportedly expressed disappointment that someone with Elvis's influence would trivialize ancient spiritual traditions for cheap laughs. Film historian Douglas Broad later wrote in his 2006 book, Elvis Cinema and Popular Culture, that Yoga is as Yoga Does represented perhaps the most tone-deaf cultural appropriation in Presley's film catalog, arriving precisely when young Americans were seriously exploring Eastern spirituality. Elvis himself, reportedly, had misgivings about the number. According to several biographers, including Peter Grolnick, Presley had begun exploring spiritual books and concepts beyond his Christian upbringing by the mid-1960s, making his participation in the mockery particularly uncomfortable for him. In a 1970 interview, when asked about the song, Elvis deflected, saying only that movie songs weren't always my choice. The controversy surrounding the song highlighted growing tensions between Hollywood's tendency to exoticize other cultures and an increasingly culturally sensitive younger generation. Today, the song stands as a relic of a less enlightened approach to cross-cultural representation in American entertainment. Number 3. Confidence from Clambake, 1967. Can children's songs contain hidden messages? Was Elvis promoting questionable self-help philosophy? Clambake, one of Elvis's later and lesser films, featured him as Scott Hayward, a wealthy heir who switches identities with a water ski instructor to find someone who loves him for himself rather than his money. Among the forgettable songs in this forgettable film was Confidence, a deceptively simple children's tune that raised concerns among some parents and educators. The song, performed to a group of children in the film, promotes the idea that confidence alone determines success. If you think that you can't, you won't. If you think that you can, you will. It's all in how you view it. While seemingly innocent, the song attracted criticism for oversimplifying complex issues of achievement, privilege, and opportunity. Some child development experts of the era expressed concern that the message could be harmful to children facing genuine structural barriers to success. Dr. Benjamin Spock, the influential pediatrician whose child rearing books shaped a generation of American parenting, reportedly questioned whether such absolutist messaging about confidence being the only necessary ingredient. The controversy deepened due to the song's connection to the emerging positive thinking movement led by figures like Norman Vincent Peale, whose teachings were already facing scrutiny from mainstream religious leaders and psychologists. Peale's philosophy, which suggested that positive thinking alone could overcome all obstacles, was criticized by some as ignoring systemic barriers and blaming individuals for circumstances beyond their control. Songwriter Sid Wayne later defended the tune, telling Rolling Stone in a 1976 interview, "It was just meant to be an uplifting children's song. We weren't trying to make a philosophical statement." The film's producer, Arthur H. Nadel, was less apologetic, reportedly saying at a press junket, "Kids need to hear they can achieve anything. What's wrong with that message?" While minor, compared to Elvis's other controversies, the confidence backlash highlighted growing cultural tensions about meritocracy myths and self-help philosophies in America. The song itself became a curious historical peccade, showing how even seemingly innocuous children's entertainment could become a flashpoint for deeper social debates. Number 4. Big Boss Man from Clambake, 1967. Was Elvis appropriating African-American musical traditions? Did his cover of a blues standard disrespect its origins? Clambake makes another appearance on our list with Big Boss Man, a cover of the 1960 blues standard, originally recorded by Jimmy Reed. While the song wasn't written specifically for the film, its inclusion in the movie raised issues about cultural appropriation and Elvis's complicated relationship with African-American music. In the film's context, Elvis performs the song while working for an authoritarian boatyard boss, giving the lyrics about an overbearing supervisor immediate relevance to the plot. But the deeper controversy lay in the history of the song itself, and white artists profiting from traditionally black musical forms. Big Boss Man was written by Luther Dixon and Al Smith, two African-American songwriters, and made famous by blues artist Jimmy Reed. The song's lyrics about labor exploitation had particular resonance in black communities, reflecting historical realities of workplace discrimination and abusive power dynamics that black workers routinely faced. When Elvis performed it, critics noted that the political and racial dimensions of the song were flattened, turning a blues lament about oppression into just another upbeat Elvis movie tune. This transformation highlighted broader questions about Elvis's career, long practice of performing songs from black musical traditions. The National Association of Negro Musicians released a statement questioning whether Elvis's version of the song in a light-hearted beach movie trivializes the genuine labor struggles expressed in the original. Blues historian Paul Oliver later wrote that this exemplified how the teeth were pulled from protest songs when they crossed over into white entertainment. Elvis's relationship with black music was complex. While he openly credited black artists as his influences and reportedly treated black musicians with respect, he also achieved wealth and fame, performing music that black originators often couldn't sell to mainstream white audiences due to segregation. Significantly, Big Boss Man was released the same year as the Detroit riots and amid growing racial tensions in America, making its carefree appropriation particularly tone-deaf to some observers. James Brown, when asked about Elvis's version in a 1968 interview with Jet magazine, diplomatically noted, "Elvis made a party song out of a work song that tells you everything about the difference in our experiences." Elvis later recorded a more authentic blues version of Big Boss Man during his 1967 studio sessions, suggesting he had greater respect for the material than the film version indicated. This version, released on his From Elvis in Memphis album, received much better reception from blues aficionados. Number 5. Dominic from Stay Away, Joe, 1968. Was this song offensive to Native Americans? Did Hollywood perpetuate harmful stereotypes through music? In Stay Away, Joe, Elvis played Joe Lightcloud, a mixed-race Navajo rodeo rider returning to his reservation in Arizona. The film has been widely criticized for its stereotypical portrayal of Native Americans, and one song in particular compounded these issues, "Dominic, a Number About a Fighting Bull." The song itself might seem harmless on the surface, Elvis singing about a bull named Dominic that his character is trying to use to improve cattle breeding on the reservation. However, in the context of the film's problematic portrayal of Native American life, the song contributed to a narrative that indigenous critics found deeply offensive. The National Congress of American Indians formally objected to the film, with its president Wendell Chino stating in a press release that "Stay Away, Joe" presented Indians as lazy, drunk, and generally incompetent, adding that songs like Dominic reduced serious economic issues on reservations to silly plot devices. The film portrayed reservation life as chaotic and dysfunctional, with Elvis's character perpetuating stereotypes to his irresponsible behavior. Dominic played during scenes that particularly emphasized these stereotypes, with drunken celebrations and property destruction presented as typical reservation activities. Vine Deloria Jr., the influential Native American author and activist, later cited "Stay Away, Joe" in his seminal book, "Custer Died for Your Sins," as an example of Hollywood's persistent misrepresentation of indigenous peoples. The song "Dominic," he noted, was particularly galling because it turned economic development issues on reservations, a serious matter involving historical injustice and federal policy failures, into a comedic subplot about a bull. Elvis himself reportedly expressed private concerns about the film's portrayal of Native Americans. According to Memphis Mafia member Lamar Fike in his memoir, Elvis questioned the script, but was assured by producers that the film was all in good fun, and that no one will take it seriously. MGM. The studio behind the film defended "Stay Away, Joe" as light-hearted entertainment, and insisted no offense was intended. However, the controversy contributed to growing awareness about Native American representation in Hollywood, becoming a reference point in early media criticism by indigenous advocates. Number 6. Signs of the Zodiac. From The Trouble with Girls. 1969. Did Elvis promote astrology against Christian values? Was he leading youth toward pagan beliefs? As the 1960s drew to a close, Elvis's film career was winding down as well. The Trouble with Girls, his second-to-last narrative film, cast him as Walter Hale, the manager of a traveling Chautauqua show, in the 1920s. Among the musical numbers was "Signs of the Zodiac," a song that caused unexpected controversy with religious groups. The song itself is a playful exploration of astrological signs and their supposed personality traits, with lyrics like "Gemini's sentimental, Cancer's emotional too, Leo's the leader in everything they do." While mild by today's standards, the song's positive portrayal of astrology triggered backlash from conservative Christian organizations already concerned about occult influences in youth culture. The Southern Baptist Convention, the denomination in which Elvis himself was raised, was particularly vocal. Dr. W.A. Criswell, a prominent Baptist pastor and former SBC president, spoke out against the film, warning that even casual entertainment references to zodiac signs can open doors to unbiblical spiritual practices. Several church groups in the South organized boycotts of the film, specifically citing the astrology-themed song. This controversy emerged against the backdrop of the growing countercultural interest in Eastern spirituality, mysticism, and astrological practices. By 1969, the Age of Aquarius had been celebrated in the hit musical Hair, and newspaper horoscope columns were becoming increasingly popular. To conservative religious leaders, Elvis, once seen as a wholesome Southern boy despite his provocative performances, appeared to be endorsing beliefs they considered pagan or occult. What made this particularly ironic was Elvis's own deep, if eclectic, Christian faith and his growing interest in spiritual matters. Throughout his life, even while exploring other philosophical traditions, Elvis maintained his Christian identity and regularly sang gospel music. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, attempted to downplay the controversy, telling the press, "It's just a song in a movie set in the 1920s. People are reading too much into it." The film's director, Peter Tewksbury, was more direct, calling the religious objections absurd and noting that, by this logic, singing about Santa Claus would be promoting paganism too. The minor furor around Signs of the Zodiac highlighted the cultural tensions of the late 1960s, particularly the growing divide between traditional religious values and new spiritual explorations. Elvis, with his roots in both conservative Southern culture and the provocative world of rock and roll, found himself caught in this cultural crossfire. Number 7. A Little Less Conversation, from Live a Little, Love a Little, 1968. Was Elvis getting too sexually explicit? Did this song cross the line for family audiences? It's one of Elvis's most recognized songs today, especially after the 2002 remix became a global hit. But when A Little Less Conversation first appeared in Live a Little, Love a Little, it generated controversy for its overtly sexual lyrics and theme. The song represented a significant departure from the more innocent love songs featured in Elvis's earlier films. In Live a Little, Love a Little, Elvis played a photographer, juggling 2 jobs and a complicated romance. The film itself was groundbreaking in Elvis's catalog for its more adult themes, featuring the first occurrence of the word damn in an Elvis movie and situations with clearer sexual implications than his previous work.